program is the way to go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. And today we're going to embark on a little different type of exploration, but before we get into the subject of today's program, I want to tell you that later on in the program we will be doing the usual feature of previews and reviews about things you might want to go to. And also we'll be giving you some information that my guest will be providing, so you might want to get a pen and paper handy to be able to jot down some of this information. Well, today the subject of the program is the author of a book, and I think it has the longest title of any book that I have talked about on this program. It's called Unbelievably Good Deals, Great Adventures that you absolutely can't get unless you're over 50. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it relates to you if you're over 50 now, because there are a lot of things to look forward to. And my guest is the author of the book, who is Joan Rattner Heilman. And Joan, I'm so glad that you could come here and join us today. And, this over 50, is that a magic number? Because I have heard people say, I'm now coming to the big one.
I think for a lot of people it is the big one. But I think it's a very arbitrary number. I think it got chosen at one point, probably by the AARP, as the number over which their membership could join. And that's the number that it's stuck with. But some of the good deals that we're talking about and some of the adventures, you don't get until you're, say, 60 or 55 or 60 or 62 or whatever the age limit has been set at.
So why did you pick 50 then for the title of this book?
Because a lot of things are available at 50. A lot of good deals are available to people who have reached the age of 50.
Now, you wrote this book in 1988?
1988, and it's been updated, it gets updated every single year.
And so
there's a new edition every year.
Every year?
Yeah.
Because things change and...
They change a lot from year to year.
But when we're talking about good deals, are we talking about discounts only, or does it go beyond that?
No, there are a lot of discounts, there are a lot of good deals, but there are also things that people of this age can do that are specifically designed for this age group. And a lot of that is in here, from adventure trips to mature singles, trips to traveling with your grandchildren, all kinds of stuff like that specifically appeals to this crowd and is specifically designed for them.
Is this a special group?
Well, not really. I just think it's people who have had a lot of experience. Maybe they've traveled a lot. Maybe they want to do some kind of action vacation, but they don't want to compete with 20-year-olds. Or they want people they can talk to of their own age group.
I don't want to get into too much of a philosophical discussion about what the golden years are. But a lot of people have the concept that when you get older, there are things that you can't do.
There's nothing you can't do. I really believe that.
As long as
you're healthy and your legs work and
your mind's active.
And your head works. There's nothing you can't do. And I've found that older people, and all the way up there, are on all kinds of adventurous trips and all kinds of sporting events. And
let's get specific.
Well, there are a lot of trips, for example, in this book which talk about, which are specifically oriented to older people. For example, I brought this flyer here. American Youth Hostels. Everybody's heard of American Youth Hostels, and we all think they're for teenagers. But they have about 6, I think, every year. They have 6 van hiking trips specifically for over 50s. And they're not that much easier than for the kids. But they're kind of organized so that you would particularly like them.
Now, is this for people who have always done things that are active, or is it an adventure?
Well, it certainly appeals more to people who are peppy types. There's all kinds of things. Like there's one club that's called the Over the Hill Club, Over the Hill Gang. You heard of them?
Sure.
And they do everything. They started as a ski club, and now they do all kinds of activities. And that's for anybody over 50, and they go all the way up to 80, and they do everything.
What other things can we talk about?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the things that are designed specifically for singles of a certain age.
It's up to you.
Well, there's a chapter in here, Singles on the Road. There's a lot of organizations today that are devoted to singles, especially where it comes to travel and social activities. And there are many that have sprung up only in the last few years that are designed for mature singles, by which they mean us. And there are some that are matchmaking organizations, like the Travel Companion Exchange. I don't know if you've heard of that, where you can advertise for a travel mate, male or female, and you just kind of state what the kind of person you want to go with.
And singles, we're talking about widows, widowers, and the never married.
Suddenly single kind of people, mostly. Or they have mates that don't like to go anywhere or do anything. So they leave them home and they travel. And, of course, a lot of them are women, but there are men involved, too.
Now, you say that most of them are women? Is that reason?
Most of the singles seem to be women who get into these organizations, but they do have special programs that draw in a lot of men, too. But the singles things include everything from dance cruises to Club Med trips that are specifically for this age group of singles, that kind of thing.
I know that you give addresses and telephone numbers in the book, and there's so many of them that it'd be very, very hard to give them all. But at any time during our discussion, if you have a number or you have some information, specifically, I have already alerted our viewers to get pen and paper ready. So anytime that you have any specifics, so I just go right ahead and do that.
Well, I don't even know if people would be interested in the American Youth Hostel's number, but I could give it to you.
Sure, why don't you do that?
Okay, and those are the hiking trips that are for over 50s.
Yeah.
That's 202, which is Washington, 783-6161.
Good.
And if we talk about anything else that you think your people would like to know.
So what else specifically? You brought along a lot of material here. Country road bike tours.
I happen to be into participatory travel myself. I like to do things. I don't like to sit and drink Planters Punch by the pool. I like to go someplace and do something. So I'm into things like bike tours, which I'm doing next month. I'm going on a bike tour outside New Orleans through the plantation. But there are bike tours that are specifically, again, for this age group, for the over 50.
And do many people really in this group go on bicycle tours? It seems to me, I am amazed
at all of these things, like skiing. I mean, there are skiers. The 70-plus ski club. You have to be proof that you're 70 to belong to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, the biking and other kind of action trips are terrific. Now, this one, for example, is Country Roads Bike Tours, which is in Canada, lower Canada, so that they're accessible to us.
Yes.
And there are others that are given, there's an outfit called International Bicycle Tours that does Europe, and specifically, again, for over 50s. And they also organize the Elder Hostel bike trips.
So you mentioned Elder Hostel, and Elder Hostel perhaps is known to a great many people.
Everybody knows that by now, I
This
think.
happens to be one of their latest catalogs, and it's
They're enormous, those catalogs. This is only a part of it. This is just for the summer, July and August, this particular one.
Why don't you talk about Elder Hostel for those who are not familiar with it?
Well, I think everyone knows the kind of thing they generally do, which is that you go, it's now, by the way, they've lowered their age from 60 to 50. It used to be for people over 60 when they're younger traveling companions. Now it's 50. What they do basically is they offer programs on college campuses, and they have specific courses that you would choose, which you would choose according to the course and according to the location. Now they've branched out and they have all kinds of things all over the world, from volunteer programs to, as I said, the bike trips to sailing off the coast of Turkey.
Yes, and I know when they first started, the accommodations were dormitory with a shared bath and so on, but they seem to
now
my
they're
knowledge is that
everywhere.
they're everywhere. A lot of hotel and motels and,
right.
and much better facilities
Yes.
and very inexpensive when you
Very
come down to it.
very inexpensive, so that everybody really gets a very good
And they're
deal.
located in Boston, aren't they?
And if you need their
Sure.
number, which I have here also, it's 617-426-7788.
Okay.
And they will send you these wonderful catalogs, and you choose what you want to do out of them. There are other groups that are similar,
Ah,
which I brought along this. Well, first of all, you have
Senior Ventures.
well, Senior Ventures is something that's basically on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can go, of course, and they're very good. They're in interesting places, and some of them are in nature preserves, that kind of thing. And they're very good. Another one that's good is this Interhostel, which is run by the University of New Hampshire, and they just do overseas travel, which would be sort of the same as Elder Hostel. You go on, I think it's 2 to 3 weeks, some country where you stay and you learn about that particular area or that particular subject that they're focusing on. And that's a good one.
It just appears to me from what you're covering right now is that the range of what is available is enormous.
It is
So
enormous now.
and
only in the last few years, which is interesting.
why?
When the first edition of this book came out, which I wrote because I had written a magazine article and it got on the subject and it gotten a huge response.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it was a good idea for a book, and it certainly has proven to be that way. But the first edition of this book was much smaller because there weren't as many offerings. In the last, whatever that is, 7 years, this has really grown, this whole field. And you can get a senior discount, which starts at whatever age. It's usually, 60 maybe. Any place you go.
I think
Which didn't used to be the case.
I think that what we ought to do, it's just going to be impossible to cover everything that's in the book in this time. People will be able to obtain this new edition in the bookstores, of course.
Yes.
The 7th is in the process of coming out
It's
right
coming
now.
out in April, the 7th edition, which is completely revised.
And if someone can't get to a bookstore or the bookstore doesn't happen to have it, could they get it by
Yes,
by
you can
mail?
get it by mail, and if anybody has a pen and paper can write this down, you can get it. It costs $8.95, $9 in the bookstores. And if you can't get it in the bookstore, it can be ordered. But if you'd rather do it by mail, you send $12, which covers everything, postage and handling, to Morton Booksellers, 812 Stewart Avenue, spelled with a U, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
All right, and maybe later on, if someone didn't get it all down, we'll repeat that for them so that people can know, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest in that.
Right.
Before we continue, I just want to do the feature that we do regularly on this program, which is reviews and previews. And each week at this time, we talk about some things that are happening and some things that you might be able to go to. Now, I don't have an illustration for this one, but I do want to talk to you about the Coyote Theater, which is at the Chappaqua Library. And they are doing a show, a new one, that to me is the sort of thing that I would normally go to off-Broadway, or maybe even off-Broadway, but it's a prize-winning play, and it's called American Buffalo by David Mamet. Of course, it's funny and it's gritty and there's a lot of strong language in it. And it will be at the Coyote Theater in Chappaqua from April 2nd to May 7th, from April 20th to May 7th. So if you want more information on that, the number to call is 914-238-6812. To move a little more to the esoteric side, I want to tell you about a wonderful violinist named Martin Stoner, who will be giving a recital at Merkin Hall near Lincoln Center on April 23rd. Martin Stoner has appeared as a guest on this program. He had studied at Juilliard. He has appeared and presented concerts, recitals on WQXR, WNYC, and I highly recommend him. And the number at Merkin Hall is 212-362-8719. And I also want to recommend a new exhibit at the Hudson River Museum. I have seen it. I'm going again. The subject is portraits, and in the main exhibit space is 200 years of portraits. It is a magnificent exhibit. It is just great, so much so that I'm going back to see it because you want to read every one of the captions. In another section, they have another exhibit, which is black and white photos, 200 black and white photos of famous and not so famous people, all of which have been assembled in black frames in a wonderful setting. It's very, very worthwhile, and again, I recommend it highly. And to get more information on the exhibit itself, which runs through August 27th, call the museum at 914-963-4550. And now I'd like to return to my guest, who is Joan Rattner Heilman, and we're talking about all the wonderful things that you can do if you're over 50. Joan, how do you put together a book which encompasses so much information? It seems to me to be an extraordinarily difficult job.
It is difficult. The first edition and the second were very difficult. But now I have people sending me material. I watch the papers. I watch every publication, every TV show for any kind of a tip on anything that would apply here, and then I research it. One thing I realized that we didn't discuss here was the real discounts, which are basically in the travel area for people over whatever age. Now, one of them, of course, is the airfares. I think everybody may know by this time about the senior coupons, which you can get from I think it's every single domestic airline.
Let's not assume that people do know about it. Tell me about that and
tell our audience. Well, it's available on every domestic airline and almost every foreign airline now, which you can get at the age of 62. These are booklets of coupons, 4 or 8 coupons that you buy, which allows you to fly one way. Each coupon you trade in for a ticket to fly one way someplace. So if you go from coast to coast, this is a very good deal. If you fly from here to Cleveland, it's not such a good deal. So you have to kind of arrange your trips and make sure you're going on a long enough distance to make it work out.
And you just buy them from the airlines?
You buy them from the airlines and you use them to trade in for tickets. And it averages out, I think at the moment, about $140 per ticket. So if you're flying to the coast or to the southwest or something, that really is a good deal. The other thing that...
There's a time limit on when you can use...
You're good for a year. But if you buy trade it in before, at the end of your year, then you don't have to use it right away. So it's good for longer than a year. Then the other really good discounts are basically available at hotels. Now, most people know about this because they belong to AARP the minute they're 50. And with that, you get a lot of discounts with using your AARP card. But there are others that you don't necessarily have to use that way, and you can get even better deals. For example, the Marriotts have it at least 50% off. There are some catches because you have to do it. You have to reserve it 3 weeks ahead, and it's non-refundable unless you die. Maybe you can get a doctor's excuse. Anyway,
if you die, you definitely can get a doctor's excuse.
But there are some very good. And the Omni hotels, for example, you can get usually up to 50% off on those, and others.
All this tremendous amount of information, again, is compiled in this one book.
It's all in here.
Telephone numbers and addresses.
Telephone numbers, addresses, all the details, etc.
What are some of the other things that are covered in there?
Well, I have a whole section on sporting things from golf, special golf discounts, many of them. Tennis camps for older tennis players. Skiing, of course, as I said, is a very big deal, and everybody over whatever age, it's 60 usually, can get half price at a ski resort.
You know what you're doing here? You're destroying the image that people have.
In rocking chairs.
In rocking chairs or sitting on couches in front of television sets. Because
I don't like that image myself, I guess so.
It's not true. Or if it is true, it's because perhaps people don't know of the availability of so many things that they can do in their own area of interest.
Yeah. And there's some things that don't require great athletic ability. I mean, like there's a snowmobiling tour. You have to sit in your snowmobile. That's not too difficult if you're not an athlete.
But you also brought along a catalog from Saga Tours, and there are several organizations that that are only for seniors.
Saga and Grand Circle are the best known ones that have trips specifically for the mature traveler. And they do everything. They do trips that are cruises or guided tours through Europe or hiking trips in Tibet, etc. And they're all specifically for this group, which I think is very good for a lot of people.
So there's something for everyone, really, in this, and I think that that is something that a lot of people just don't. Maybe it's too hard for them to find out where to do it, and that's why I think this book is such a great service for people over 50. I also think that you're providing another service for those people who are looking forward with some trepidation, to quote the big one, and saying, gee, what am I going to do? There are a lot of advantages in being over 50.
Oh, yeah, things are cheaper.
And one of the other advantages is that grandparents can go places in programs specifically designed to go with their grandchildren.
Yeah, there are a lot of, it's an outfit called Grand Travel that started this whole thing about, I guess, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And it became so popular that everybody's doing it now. You can go on a trip that's organized for the two generations, not just parents and kids, but grandparents and kids. And they're all over the country, or in Europe, or in African safaris, or, wherever. And it works out very well.
We touched a little bit about what goes into the making of the book. You've got a background in magazine writing.
I worked for a magazine for a long time.
What magazine?
It was This Week magazine, which was a Sunday supplement in the Herald Tribune.
In New York.
Until the Herald Tribune went out of business. And in other newspapers. And since then, I have been a freelance writer.
Doing books and...
Doing books and magazine articles and newspaper articles.
You write all the time?
Pretty much all the time, I do.
When you put together a book such as this one, or some of the others that you brought along, which I see are diverse, a book on estrogen, a book on bluebird rescue, you're certainly diverse in the things that you write about. How do you determine what you're going to write about?
Just whatever interests me, basically. And sometimes with a book or a magazine, I will be asked, will I write an article or something about a specific subject, but generally I choose my own. And it's been mainly in either the travel or the health area. I've done a lot of books in the health field, especially women's health.
Do you find, in addition to the fact that I'm sure that writing is financially rewarding, but up to a point, that it intensifies your knowledge or interest in a subject by getting into it, as it does with me when I talk to all different people. I find...
You have to find out everything about that subject before you... I mean, my approach is that I will find out everything there is to know about whatever subject it is, such as estrogen for this book. And then I will try to write it so that anybody can understand it, so that I can understand. I figure if I can get it, the reader can get it. And
so no fancy, complicated words. We did promise that we would give the address for people to order the book by mail, and I want to do that before we run out of time. So why don't we give that information again?
Well, as I said, the book's available in bookstores. And they will order it if you can't find it. But by mail order, it's $12 sent to Morton Booksellers, 812 Stewart Avenue, Mamaroneck, New York, 10543.
And also with the unbelievably long title, Unbelievably Good Deals, Great Adventures that you absolutely can't get unless you're over 50. What a title. I think that... perhaps the book should have been larger so that you could get a longer title on the page.
Well, the title kind of says everything, I guess.
What would you say is the best deal for someone over 50?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for money, to save money, then those airline coupons and the hotels are the best deals. If you're looking for excitement, then you have to pick the kind of trip that really interests you, and there's plenty of them.
Is there something you like? Athletic things. You like bicycling.
I like adventure travel, which is becoming a very big thing these days.
What does that mean? What is adventure?
Well, it means that you're going interesting places and dealing with nature considerably.
Doesn't mean risk.
Sometimes it means risk. It depends. We went on was an over 50 trip. It happened to be on the Salmon River in Idaho last summer, which was a rafting trip. And that was pretty scary, of course.
Why did you do it?
Because I love to be out there doing things.
Risk part of your pleasure?
Well, up to a point. I'm not too much of a risk taker. But, I mean, I figured everybody lived through it before, so I would too.
So there's excitement and adventure and the unknown, and there's a lot of things available for people over 50. And one of the things that is known is that we've run out of time.
Okay.
So I thank you very much for coming. My guest today has been Joan Rattner Heilman, who is the author of the unbelievably long-titled book, Unbelievably Good Deals, Great Adventures that you absolutely can't get unless you're over 50. I always close this show with the words, enjoy yourself, and this is one way to enjoy yourself when you're over 50. Until next week at this time, I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is what's the name of the program?
The Way to Go.
The Way to Go, and talk about forgetting things. Until next time, enjoy yourself.